2093.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Thank you very much for hanging out today. And our top story for a while here is going to be about the hot Somalis. They're not like hot. It sounds like hot tamale, and I'm just trying to have some fun with it. Shut up, Mike. But this is at the forefront of a whole lot of other conversations can be wove into this, because this is really about immigration. This is really about, a lot of people say they want to fix immigration or do something about immigration. Well, what do you want to do? What do you want to fix about it? How would you make it any different? And so this is a conversation that needs to be had, because according to some people, this isn't going to work out too well. And by some people, if you want to ask what are the long-term effects of mass immigration, of people who come from overseas and don't assimilate, ask the Indians. And I don't mean like the Elizabeth Warrens out there. I mean, ask the real Indians. Hey, how'd that work out? How'd that work out, having unfettered immigration with people who didn't assimilate in massive waves? How'd that work out when they came in and they didn't learn your culture? They didn't adopt your religion. They didn't intermarry. They kept their own little separate thing going. How'd that work out? Did that work out good for the Indians? Because when we do it, we're awful colonizers. We're invaders. We're destructive, terrible people. We're the worst ever. I mean, God, we're white people. Anything worse than that? So this isn't really about Somalis overall. It's just about Somalians today. And so this is a long overdue conversation. This is a conversation that is fraught with piles and piles of emotions. The people who get really worked up about this, and you can hear them getting like emotionally excited, that works against us. You cannot have a rational conversation with people who are emotional. Emotion is inherently irrational, right? The amount that you love your children is completely irrational. You'd take a bullet for your kid, wouldn't you? Kind of irrational. So let's think. Let's try and avoid emotion as much as we can, but we're not going to be able to block it all out, and so we're just going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to deal with people calling you racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, Nazi, xenophobe, all the terrible things that Donald Trump's being called right now. Just go ahead and get ready for it. It's going to happen. That's what you're going to be called. Now, once you get that out of the way, then that takes a lot of the sting out of so much of the talking points that are going to be used against you. So with all this set up, that brings me to, hang on a second. That brings me to my first soundbite. And the first soundbite I'm playing here, I had a real hard time deciding who's going to go first. But I'm going to start with this clip from Trump. Now, I had this yesterday. I didn't play this part yesterday because no one else was really talking about it. But this is going to set up the back and forth. Trump, I agree with him. So many of these people that are here should be gone. So many of the people that are here, and some of them who have already gotten legal status with permanent residency or a green card or even been naturalized citizens, some of that's going to have to be revoked, and some people are going to have to be sent back. All right, here's Trump.
Thank you. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, his police chief is also saying.
I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota. Okay?
All right. If I could ask one thing of the Trump administration, it'd be like, can we get to the bottom of this brother thing? Because I've seen some evidence that floats through social media that, hey, it looks like she married her brother. Why can't we act on that? Why can't we go ahead, find that case, prove it, and either kick her out of office or deport her or revoke her citizenship or whatever, or shut up about it? Stop saying she was with her brother. You're in a position to prove it. And it doesn't have to be speculation. anymore. I think that would be huge. That's where I would start. If she really did hook up with her brother, and I don't mean like physically hook up, but I mean like legally, say that they were married in order to loophole the immigration system, either pursue the case or stop saying that. But I agree. There's a lot of people that are here that need to be gone. And there's a strong question we need to ask ourselves. Do we really need to import random people from third world countries? Do you know what the average IQ is in Somalia? Do you know what the average IQ is in some countries? Did you know that for some countries, the average IQ is below the threshold from what we would call, and I'm not saying this word to be a pejorative, retarded, like mentally retarded, disabled, because we actually had the threshold pretty high up until the 60s, and then we lowered it because too many people were getting classified as mentally disabled. So I think we pushed it down to like 70, 75, something like that. Did you know there's a ton of countries, there's dozens of countries where the average person is below that, which means more than half of their country would classify as mentally challenged here. Do we need to be importing them? Do we need to be importing? And look, if we're getting their geniuses, if we're getting their best nuclear scientists, sure, that's what we need to import. But that's not what we look around and we see is importing. We're importing truck drivers, and they'll even brag like these people are our nannies and they're our workers and our teachers. And look, this is Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, talking about what the great contribution these people are.
Not even clear that the federal agents know exactly what they're doing here, because here's the thing. The Somali community is almost universally American citizens. They have come here legally. They are in our city legally. They've been here in many cases for decades, and they have contributed greatly to the fabric of who we are. They're part of our family here in Minneapolis. I mean, they are our banker, they are our babysitter, in my family. They're my bodyguard, and that's just the bees. These are people that have benefited Minneapolis in a really beautiful way. And to just go after a whole community indiscriminately.
I know, to go after a whole community indiscriminately. Like, I don't know, MAGA voters or white people when it comes to reparations, or all of America, white America when it comes to the 1619 Project. I mean, how could you possibly condemn an entire group of people just based on the bad actions of a few? Well, you do it all the time. Whether it's gun owners or rural people or men or white people, y'all have no problem doing that. You have no problem. Oh, the systemic racism. Well, I'm not in any system. I'm not collaborating with other white people to oppress blacks. I get accused of it all day, every day. But there seems to be a weird focus on this term garbage. I don't have time to do this. All right, coming up next, you're going to hear the local news in Minneapolis. One of their little softball coach looking anchors does a editorial of some sort where she is just so disappointed, and it's beneath the dignity of the president to call anybody garbage. Oh, really? What about Nazi? What about racist? Racist is a horrible thing to call somebody, because racism is ugly. We all condemn it. We all, most of us think that's a terrible way to arrange your worldview. But you get called that every day. Isn't it weird to see these people who racist, sexist, bigot, fascist, Nazi, to the point where people are shooting at us? They clutch their pearls when some people are called garbage. And they're called garbage, just not out of the blue. It's not like he was just taking the trash down to the trash can. He's calling Somalis garbage. No, they've been busted. There's been dozens of people convicted. They've stolen over $1 billion in taxpayer money and sent it back to Somalia. See, I don't know. Whoever's stealing from the taxpayers by over $1 billion, they're probably garbage. Can we just agree with that? But coming up next, you're going to hear that editorial. We need to have a real conversation, because some people are talking about we don't need to pause immigration. Some people are talking about we need to pause it. I think we need to start kicking people out. Not just pause it, but just reverse immigration. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I am not from a Kroger today. I'm actually in studio here, but we're still doing the 38th annual Cumulus Kids toy drive. And look, there was a lot of great presents that were dropped off in Midlothian on Tuesday. A lot of great presents dropped off at the Kroger in Plano yesterday. I think, and I didn't stay till 7 for the final count, but by the time I had left, I had a pretty good idea of who donated what. I think Midlothian won. I think Midlothian had donated more toys than the people in Plano. Now, I got more visitors, people stopping by the table and saying hi, like, hey, listen to your show, love you, blah, blah, blah. So I think I like Plano better in that respect, but Midlothian did more toys, so congrats. Now, we're doing something special on the James Show today to raise money for the Cumulus Kids. I'm going to be auctioning a hell of a prize, and I'm doing this today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a different prize, and I'll tell you about that one tomorrow. But today, the prize is 4 tickets to Christmas at the Anatole. And the Hilton Anatole's over here, like 3 exits up from where I'm broadcasting now. What is that, Market Center in 35? You see it when you come into downtown on 35, from anywhere north of downtown. It's on the right. It's a couple of buildings. I've been there before. It's an amazing setup. They had like the Marconis there a few years ago. Wasn't that like 10 years ago? So that includes passes to their Christmas at the Anatole, and they have train rides, and they have a bunch of other stuff for the kiddos. So if you were to buy this package itself, it's worth over $1,000, just flat out retail value. I'm going to start the bidding for the on-air auction, and this isn't going to happen until the 4th hour, so don't start bidding now. But when I tell you at 4:05 that it started, we're going to start it at $500. That's what they told me to start it at. I think we can get a lot more than that. I've seen what the morning show's been doing with their auctions. Can we beat the morning show? Can I do better than them? Because I'm not sure we can beat the morning show, but I think we can. So it's a 2-night stay at the luxurious Hilton Anatole in Dallas, 4 tickets to Christmas at the Anatole, 1 hour of ice skating, unlimited holiday train rides, and entry to the holiday bounce houses, all that fun stuff. That's coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Right now, we're talking about immigration, and it's hinging off of this Somali issue where it was uncovered that they had defrauded several of them. This wasn't just one operation. There's been dozens of people already convicted, as in they've been arrested, indicted, gone through the entire trial process, had the gavel slammed. So this is a done deal. This isn't like a pending an investigation or allegedly or reportedly. No. Over $1 billion of your taxpayer dollars, some of which were matched at the federal level, were stolen under fraudulent means, and a big chunk of that went to Somalia. Now, in the report on the City Journal, are you familiar with City Journal? Ryan Thorpe and Christopher Rufo collaborated on this article, and the takeaway that you have to hear from this, check out this one sentence. The largest funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer. And they're talking about for the time period from 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. So once the fraud scheme was exposed, 1 in 16 Somali 4-year-olds in the state had been diagnosed with autism. Now, they weren't really autistic. They just set up these clinics to go get the diagnosis so they could get the money and they could send it back to their home. Ilhan Omar was asked about this. And you know what? I got to give credit to, of all people, Jake Tapper for actually asking her about this on CNN. Check out this response.
Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
Oh, yeah. We didn't create guardrails. That's what happened. Jesus. Well, you talk about these COVID programs. I already told you, and you already know that this started. The investigation starts back in 2018. So this is before COVID even happened. You liar. And even if that was the truth, how come Somalis are the people doing this? Did you see the Germans setting up a COVID relief scam so they could send money back to Germany? Did you see Irish people? Did you see Mexicans? Did you see Canadians? Did you see someone from Eritrea? I don't know. That might be because that's next door to Somalia. Maybe it was Eritrea. I was just thinking of random countries. No, if there's not a problem with the Somali community, there's a flaw with the system that they set up. It didn't have the right oversights. And if you don't put the right oversights, Somalis are going to rob you blind. Is that what you're saying, Ilhan Omar? Because other people from other cultures managed to not do it. So now that you know all this, check this out. This is Kare. And this anchor, this lady with her little short hair, looking like a softball coach wearing a pantsuit. Actually, she has a haircut quite similar to mine and a wardrobe quite similar to mine. She is just so upset that Trump dared call Ilhan Omar and the Somalis who ripped off the taxpayers garbage. Listen to this.
One last thing before we go. It is hard to comprehend what the President of the United States said today about Somali people. After lashing out at Governor Walz and Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, President Trump unleashed a tirade on all Somali people, calling them garbage, and then going a step further. Hear it for yourself.
We're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country is no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country.
Hearing that makes it all the more believable that Trump will send ICE and the Department of Homeland Security here, as has been reported, to target our Somali community, which is the largest in the United States. And the vast majority of Somali folks here are American citizens. They're people who fled war in their country as refugees to start a new life. Once upon a time, that was a story America liked to tell about itself. Hell, it's emblazoned on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. To breathe free. Minnesotans by the thousands cannot tonight, perhaps sitting in fear, even with legal status, and that their president called them garbage.
Oh, spare me. I get called racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, literally Hitler on an almost daily basis, and I don't see anybody from Team Blue being a human shield or rushing to your defense when you get called things far worse than garbage. Did this lady rush to your defense when you got called deplorable? Did she rush to your defense when you get called fascist? Did she rush to your defense when Charlie Kirk got shot in the neck or Trump got shot in the ear? Oh, just spare me. Why don't you explain to me how they're not garbage? Hey, I know 1 in 16 Somali children were being rolled through this scheme. So this isn't the exception to the rule. This isn't, the disparate effects of some bad actors in an otherwise great community. This was a community-wide effort. Dozens, plural, dozens of people have already been convicted in these schemes. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, you'll hear about some Somali immigrants that maybe are garbage. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. What are we going to do with all these Somalis? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Now, when we talk in generalizations, of course, not every Somali is garbage. Of course. God, they're humans. They're children of God, just like the rest of us. But overall, Somalia is one of the worst countries on the planet. I would say Haiti's probably worse, more of a failed society. But Somalia is down at the bottom. And the reason it is, I mean, you could say, well, it's corruption or whatnot. Well, why don't we have corruption here? We don't tolerate it as much as they do. And so some countries are more corrupt than others. Some countries are incredibly corrupt. Some countries are just kind of corrupt. But the people in the country, in all countries, are the reason why, for the most part, that's the way the country is. It's not the mineral resources under them. It's not the climate around them. It's not the topography. It's not the hills and the mountains. It's the people. It's the culture. It's their mores. It's their values. It's their tradition. It's the way they conduct themselves. And so when you talk about, we need to bring people here, diversity is our strength. Well, if we start importing the most failed culture, the people who follow the most failed values and mores and traditions, and this isn't a race thing. This is a culture thing. This is a value thing. This is a content of your character thing. You're importing that into your country. Does anybody look at the Cleveland Browns and say, man, we need to do whatever they're doing. We need to get some of their front office people in here, whoever's making their draft picks, whoever their second string quarterback is, we need to bring him in here. No. Why? Cleveland Browns has a terrible history of failure. So you don't want to emulate them. You do not want to bring them into your system, especially not the people who are going to be making decisions on behalf of your franchise. So with that, we have people talking in generalities, and it gets really ugly. And I can get that it feels ugly. It feels bad to have to say that some countries are garbage. Some countries are less successful than others. I'm sorry. I wish all countries were some different variation of successful, but some aren't, and we have to be truthful about it because we're paying the negative consequences of the bad decisions. Now, Sunny Hostin hears this on The View, and of course, what does she say? Oh, it's just racist. Got it.
A president who likes dog whistles, a president who likes to divide and have a target. And this time it's the Somalis. Before it was the Haitians. Before that it was the bad hombres, the Mexicans. About the Venezuelans, he wants to paint them all as gang members and members of Tren de Aragua.
I don't know why you keep
true.
saying that, because he says he's not a racist.
Well, and that's the thing.
What does it say about people who follow him?
I have yet to meet a racist that raises their hand and says, yes, I am a racist. But I think we need to be able to call...
they do now.
Some do.
Yeah,
correct.
they're very happy to tell you now.
But I think we need to call a thing a thing. The President of the United States is using racist language. He is. He's using discriminatory language. He is targeting an entire group in a discriminatory way. Again, and again, and again. And when do we as Americans say being a racist or using hateful racist language is unbecoming of the office of the President of the United States? We need to be able to say that. And we need to be able to say it out loud.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue against him. I'm just going to declare whatever he says as racist, and then I don't have to argue against it because we all agree racism is bad. What an intellectual shortcut that is. And it's not doing anybody good. They don't even want to have the real dialogue. They don't even want to have the real discussion about it. They just want to declare you as evil, dismiss you, and then go forward doing their whatever. So here's a report. This is a recent report from Fox 9. And this is a Somali immigrant. They don't tell you this in the story, but you see the picture. You hear his name. You go look it up. This is a Somali immigrant. Recently, did he contribute?
Man out on probation for sexual assault is charged once again. This time, prosecutors say he picked up a woman he met on Snapchat and raped her at a hotel in Bloomington.
Now, prosecutors once called this man an extreme public safety risk, but he never spent a day in prison for his previous crimes. Fox 9's Mike Manzoni joining us from our newsroom now. And Mike, prosecutors signed off on plea deals in these previous cases.
Kelsey and Randy, a judge sentenced the Minneapolis man in those cases back in May, but he got credit for time served, so he never went to prison. It was all part of a pair of plea deals. This is the man we're talking about. His name is Abdemahat Billy Muhammad, but prosecutors say the 28-year-old uses the names Kareem and Altesto on Snapchat, and that is where investigators say he met his latest victim as well as his two previous ones. Prosecutors say he picked up his most recent victim in Mankato back in September and drove her to a hotel near the Mall of America where he took her phone, told her she wasn't leaving, raped her, and held her against her will for days. That's according to prosecutors. Investigators used DNA to identify Muhammad as the suspect. His profile was already in the database from previous cases involving sexual assaults in Minneapolis in 2017 and another one in 2024. A Hennepin County judge sentenced Muhammad in May in those cases, including one involving a 15-year-old girl. Prosecutors say two other unidentified men took part in that assault, and one threatened the victim with a gun. But Muhammad never spent a day in prison, as we said, because he got credit for time served while awaiting trial as part of a pair of plea deals. We've reached out to the Hennepin County Attorney's Office for comment. A spokesman there told us it is checking into it.
So this dude's been on an 8-year raping spree with multiple victims, hasn't spent one day in prison because every time he gets caught, some bleeding heart, just really empathetic, not hateful at all, not like you evil racist Trumpers, keeps letting him out. Now, this isn't, okay, James, you're, again, staining an entire community by the actions of some bad ones. All right, let's go back to the viral video here. This is a guy asking some African immigrants, do you rape girls?
You rape girls?
Some of us, yeah, some of us.
Do you know how many times you've done that? How many times have you raped girls?
I did it maybe 2 or 3 times.
I did it once. I did it 4 times. One of us pretends as if he's a nice guy, he wants to get her number or something, and you would grab her and say, hey, shut up.
Surely she shouts, no?
No, we tell him that.
We make sure that she doesn't.
When you scream, we tell him that when you scream, we're gonna kill you.
Yeah, she will stay still, she will never scream. He grabs the legs, both of the legs. I grab the hands, and then he deals with the clothes, yeah, and then we go one by one. We call it jackroll. Yeah, you enjoying it, huh? And we would he'd beat our hands, high five. What's it? Yeah, we're doing it. Let's do this.
The consequences of what you're doing in terms of how that affects
exactly
the person that's raped.
Yeah, the consequences, we look at that all the time, because it happens, she might scream, people might wake up.
I'm talking about the emotional effect, the physical effect it has on the girl.
Yeah. Sometimes we know that we might rape her and wake up tomorrow with viruses ourselves.
What about regretting what you've done to the girl?
I also do regret about it, because if she fell pregnant, what will be that baby's father? Who will be that baby's father?
And the terrible tragedy here is that you have feminists defending this culture. I don't want people who come from this culture. There was 3 guys just talking about it like you and I talk about a football game. So it's the most normal thing in the world to these guys. I don't care what race you're from, what nationality you're from. I don't care if you're fleeing war, you're a refugee, or seeking asylum. If you come from a culture that's okay with raping women, you are not welcome in America. And if you are already here, denaturalize them, send them back from whence they came. Whatever the country is, whatever the skin tone is, you think race matters when someone's raping your daughter? You think race matters when they're stealing $1 billion of your tax money and sending it to a third world hellhole? No, racism is such a cheap, thoughtless, intellectual shortcut. We need to have this real conversation, and it's going to be ugly, and you're going to be called ugly names. But you need to stand firm because you're right. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I've got some good calls lined up here, but I'm not done playing you some audio. Ilhan Omar was caught promoting one of the guys that got busted for $250 million of the stolen funds. You'll hear that next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. So we're discussing the fates of Somali immigrants, and this needs to be understood in a wider context because we're not really just talking about Somali immigrants here. We're talking about our immigration system as a whole. You know, because one of the questions that came up with, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Remember that from the presidential debate? The story that came out of that wasn't really if anyone's eating any dogs or cats. It's what the hell is there 30,000 Haitians doing in Springfield, Ohio to begin with? That betrays some level of organization and planning. They didn't all go out and get a Spirit Airline ticket and end up in Springfield just by coincidence. So why are we purposefully importing average people from the third world? Why are we importing average people from failed societies that do not mesh with Western civilization? I don't mean American civilization. I mean Western civilization. And we need to start having that conversation because once you establish the fact that, you know what, that's not good. That is a net negative for everyone, top, bottom, down, left, upright. Then the question is, well, we've already imported hundreds of thousands of these people. What do you want to do? Denaturalize and deport? Deport the ones that don't already have legal status easily. If you're here illegally, get out. If you're under review, unless you're some kind of genius, unless you have a job that requires integral equations or something to that effect, get out, which is probably going to be maybe all of them. And then the ones that have already been naturalized citizens, a lot of them are going to have to go too. And some people were saying, well, it's not fair to convict a whole group of people based on the actions of some bad actors there. You can't just dismiss a whole community. Well, how do you separate it out? How do you separate it out that it wasn't one or two guys that were caught up in this conspiracy and it wasn't one program that was being fleeced? It was 5 different programs being fleeced, some for autistic kids, some for feeding hungry children, some for education. And it was done by dozens of people. 1 in 16 children, Somali children in the Minneapolis area have been diagnosed with autism. And it's just a clear fraud to get your government money, to steal money from you. So I'm going to play a quick piece of audio here. Tell me if you understand this.
horta aad iyo aad aan ugu faraxsanahay in maanta safaari aan soo gaarnay sida dadka badan ay u og yihiin ciyaalkeena yaryar ilaa iyo number la eg 20 million.
Yeah, that's Ilhan Omar. She's doing a promotional video for this restaurant that hosts some of her campaign events, had a campaign watching or election night watching party, and they were part of the Feed the Hungry campaign. The owner of this restaurant already been convicted in over $250 million in stolen taxpayer money. That's Ilhan Omar cutting a video on behalf of this guy. She's wrapped up in it as well. This isn't a very big community, 80,000 people, stolen over $1 billion. Defrauding the taxpayers in 5 different programs, and became the number 1 funder of Al-Shabaab, the Minnesota taxpayer. 800-288-9227. My next question is, should Ilhan Omar still be here? Donald Trump says she shouldn't even be in Congress. You'll hear that next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. What are we going to do with all these hot Somalis? It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Do you like what I did there with the hot Somalis reference? It's a real question. The Somali community in Minnesota has now been busted, tried, convicted, and out of a handful of, government charity programs, they had pilfered over $1 billion of your tax dollars and sent it to Somalia. They were the biggest funder. The Minnesota taxpayer was the biggest funder of Al-Shabaab over the last few years, according to a report from City Journal. And so now we have Trump asking questions. Why are these people here? Shouldn't they go back? In fact, Trump says Ilhan Omar should be gone.
Thank you. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, his police chief is also
I
saying.
wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay?
And real quick, I found this morning. Ilhan Omar was walking through the hallways at the Capitol offices, and an enterprising young reporter was asking her if she had already packed her bags.
Congresswoman, do you agree with President Trump's assumption that you married your brother to get citizenship? Have you begun packing your bags for Somalia yet, Congresswoman Omar?
Not going anywhere.
So you're not?
No, don't waste your energy on me.
Do you have a message for President Trump?
I will be here probably longer than Trump.
Oh, do you have a message for President Trump?
I am like a quarter of his age.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say to him?
He's an old man losing his mind. I don't know why he's obsessed with me.
Interesting. Well, thank you, Congresswoman.
Yeah, I hope he gets help.
Thank you.
Hero in Possum Kingdom, you're on WBAP. What do you think?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Not just generalizing the topic of Haitians, but just immigration in general. I have a partner that's from Venezuela. Her TPS status ran out. She's been in the country for 9 years. She's the hardest worker I ever seen and the most loving mother of two that I know, right?
Okay.
So when you were saying earlier, you said green card or no green card, if you're an immigrant, then, everybody goes back. I mean, that kind of hurts the heart a little bit because there's Americans here in this country, right? And we see it almost every day. They got Mercedes-Benzes, LS460s, driving down to the friggin' government cheese line, collecting welfare and all that other stuff. So those Americans deserve to be in this country. I think the woman that is my partner deserves it more than that American that's been here her whole life or his whole life.
Well, look, I think you misunderstand my position. I'm not saying everyone that is here as an immigrant needs to be deported. That was never my position. I was saying we need to do a review in here. And if you're rolled up in any of these Death to America groups, if you have been part of defrauding the government, if you are one of the parents who took their Somali kid to go get a fake autism diagnosis so they could pilfer money and send it back to Al-Shabaab in Somalia, we need to find every single one of those people who have done something wrong, who obviously aren't contributing to our country, and send them back. These truckers that are running into our cars in Terrell and in Austin, and the other guy who killed some people in Florida, all these guys got to go back. These guys who clearly don't love America, clearly have no interest in assimilating. They're just here to loot as much as they can from our society and send it back to their country. That's not making America better. That's not what people were doing when they came here in Ellis Island and it was literally on the Statue of Liberty. No, but the bad actors, yeah, they do need to go. I'm not talking about your business partner from Venezuela who's got a business and everything going and been here for so many bajillion years. Don't misunderstand my position here. I'm just saying there are a lot of people here who are here legally who need to go. Not everyone. And if you understood that, I bet you a bunch of other people did, which means I just probably said it wrong. So thanks for letting me clear that up.
Yes, sir, and I agree with you 150%. The rapists and all that, especially the rapist. When I say partner, it's nothing to do with business. I don't say girlfriend because that's a friggin' high school thing, you know? Like,
you
my
mean
girlfriend. Yeah, my partner, my lifelong partner.
Lifelong
The
partner.
one
Well, hang on. But why don't you put a ring on it there, hero?
Well, hey, Christmas is right around the corner. I figured I would brighten up the holiday a little bit, you know. With
How long have y'all been together?
We've been together several months.
Oh, several months. How old are you?
I'm 45.
All right. Have you been married before?
I've been married once. One time in my life. It was the worst experience I ever had.
Well, hey, try it again. What could possibly go wrong? And if she does act up and it doesn't work out, maybe we'll have her deported then. How about that, hero? Okay, you didn't think that was funny. Deborah and Ray Hubbard, I guess, are you in the lake? You're on WBAP.
No, I'm just over. I just got past it.
Okay.
I just have I have a comment, and that's about all. I think I remember a few years back, Miss Hillary Clinton called all of us deplorables.
Yeah.
And you didn't. Nobody. I didn't call complaining about it.
Well, then you also had, just the fact that you get called racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe every day. I was playing Jasmine Crockett earlier this week saying we're all a bunch of racists. I played Sonny Hostin earlier in the show. All MAGA supporters are a bunch of racists. And Joey Behar even said, what does that say about all is the MAGA supporters? Yeah, we get called far worse than garbage every damn day.
Yeah.
So don't
Yeah.
expect a whole lot of sympathy coming out of Team Red over the garbage comments.
Right.
Great point. Thank you, Deborah. Having a good time over on the lake. Ken in Arlington, you're on WBAP.
Hey, I think we can deport them based on the actions of a couple.
You mean all Somali immigrants who are here? Is that what you're talking about?
Sure. I mean, if you could lock up a whole bunch of people based on the actions of J6ers, of a couple of J6ers, it's the same thing. You're locking up a whole bunch of people of what a couple of bad J6ers did. You could deport a whole bunch of people based upon the actions of a couple of bad people.
Yeah, Ken, I don't think people realize how right you are on that, because a bunch of the people who went to prison for January 6th, they didn't go into the Capitol. Some of them weren't even in D.C., like Enrique Terrario from the Proud Boys.
Right.
Like, I don't even think he was in D.C. on that day. Like, I don't think he was legally allowed to be in D.C. as part of the reason
he was back in Texas, I thought. I thought he was back in Texas. I mean, if J6 goes down and you're 200-300 miles away, but they're going to go after you and you're not even in the same state, well, I mean, Washington's not a state. It's a district. But if you're going to go after people that are...
No, look, and your point stands, because the ultimate example of that is the Somali community isn't responsible for the dozens of people that committed a crime for the last 7 years, but somehow you and I are responsible for what white Democrats did in the 1860s, you know, for reparations and whatnot. So yeah, it's very selective accountability for community groups that we see over here. Coming up next on the James Show, Bill D'Agostino is going to join us from Newsbusters, because they did a poll. They did their own little research here, and only 24% of likely voters know that Charlie Kirk's assassin was left wing. That's next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, on your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. Fun little show that comes on before me. Check them out. We're still doing the toy drive, and coming up in the last hour to raise money for the toy drive, I'm going to be auctioning off a family 4-pack of tickets to Christmas at the Anatole. The Hilton Anatole has all kinds of good things set up for the Christmas season. You'll get a 2-night stay at the luxurious Hilton Anatole here in Dallas. 4 tickets to Christmas at the Anatole, 1 hour of ice skating, unlimited holiday train rides, entry to the holiday bounce house, and more. It's valued at over $1,000. We'll start the bidding at $500, starting at $405. So stick around for that. My next guest, though, is about to blow your mind, and not in a good way. This is going to be very disappointing. Bill D'Agostino's coming back on from one of my favorite websites, newsbusters.org, because this headline almost knocked me out of my chair. Welcome back, Bill. It says only 24% of likely voters know Charlie Kirk's killer is left-wing. How does that happen, Bill? How? Well, I think the WBAP audience is the one that needs to hear this the most, because I hear too much from people calling in or writing me Facebook messages saying, I don't understand how people vote for this guy, or I don't understand how people can support this, or I don't understand why people think this way or hate Trump or think. This is why. They don't know. They don't know what's going on. They know a few headlines. They know what CNN tells them. They know what they see on their Facebook feed or their Instagram feed, but they don't know what you know. The plurality. Look at see and give him credit, my producer for the James Show. That was one of the first things he thought of when I brought this up before the show. Like, wait, didn't Jimmy Kimmel get suspended for that?
Yes. We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from.
Well, it worked. That lie has now worked. Propaganda works, Bill. Well, the guys that come on before me call it M snow, and I'm sticking with that because that's what it looks like when they put it when they put it on TV. It looks like M snow. Well, I think they got corporately divorced from NBC, and that was part of the reason for the name change. Bill D'Agostino, I'm going to ask a possible question because I get asked this all the time. What do we do about that? How do we change this? How do we make people be more informed? Right. All right. If you have time, I highly encourage you to go check out Bill D'Agostino, my guest here, his article on newsbusters.org. I go there before every show for prep because you guys do such a good job keeping track of the media. I really appreciate y'all's hard work. You do great stuff. All right, Bill D'Agostino on the James Show. Coming up next, you're going to get a live report from the White House from the only Texan in the White House, Chris Putnam from the Dallas Express, next on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, homeowners here in North Texas. James Parker here for RhinoShieldDFW.com. I've been telling you about Rhino Shield for months now. But if you don't trust me or you're a little skeptical or you just want, a fuller body of information before you make a decision, if you go to RhinoShieldDFW.com, you can have Gary come out and just show you how it works. I actually got the presentation myself because I had heard of Rhino Shield and I've actually seen it on houses and stuff. But when he explains to you how the technology works, then you're actually informed enough to make a proper decision. And I think you'll say yes. It's not perfect for everybody, but it's really a two-part process. And the genius of this is that primer coat. And it looks like a really thin crepe, but it kind of expands and is breathable. And so in the summer, when your house expands, it expands with it. In the winter, when it contracts with it. And that's why you can come back in 5, 10, 20 years and there's not going to be any cracking. There's not going to be any flaking. There's not going to be any peeling. But it also lets your house breathe so you don't rot the bricks through the woods or hardy board or stucco or whatever's behind it. It can lower your energy costs with a 6.9 R factor. It blocks 90% of UV sun rays. And really, it just looks great. It keeps the texture of whatever's under it. If you got a sweet wood grain or the nice bricks or the stucco, it looks good, and it won't fade as fast as paint. It won't crack, won't flake, won't peel. Increases the resale value. Has a 25-year transferable warranty. A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, 5 stars on Google reviews. And if you go out there and you like what you see from Gary with the little nano ceramic particle technology and you need help paying for it, well, just mention the James Show. You get 20% off through the holidays. And if that's still not enough for you, we can put it up on a monthly payment plan and we can get that down to, I don't know, $150, $160 a month. So really, can you afford to not get Rhino Shield? Just ask Gary to come out and show you how it works. Get a quote. And go to RhinoShieldDFW.com. Hey, you're about to get a live update from the White House. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and we're being joined by one of the newest members of the White House press corps, Chris Putnam from the Dallas Express, calling in. Hey, Chris, how's it going in the White House today? What's the temperature there? All right. So the big talk on in D.C. today, what would you say the top story is in the press pool? All right. So what did we learn about the January 6th bomber? Who is this guy? Well, the thing that's suspicious about this, and Dan Bongino talked about it on his show that was before mine for all that time until he got into the FBI. The timing on this is interesting. We had this information since probably January 7th, 2021. Why are we just finding out about it almost 5 years later? Whoa. So how bad is the bias in the White House press corps? So did you stop by Ilhan Omar's office and tell her I said hi? Okay. All right, so what's on the agenda for tonight? Is there any more Christmas parties you've been invited to? Real America's Voice. Isn't he out of this area? Isn't he like in Irving or something? Isn't he a Dallasite or North Texan? All right, well, good stuff. I'll try and get you for another live report from the White House tomorrow if you don't mind. But in the meantime, go get back to work, Chris. The only Texan in the White House press pool, Chris Putnam. All right, coming up next on the James Show, Tom Simon. Oh, I'm sorry, we're not doing that. Erica Kirk. Erica Kirk was at a New York Times event yesterday, and she went on a little bit of a rant about how women keep voting lefty, especially for Mamdani in New York. And she says she has observed this strange phenomenon where some ladies like to replace the idea of a husband with government. You'll hear that next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. We're doing an auction in the last hour of the show, so coming up in about 15 minutes, you'll get a chance to start bidding on a 4-pack of Christmas at the Anatole. Now, the Hilton Anatole, it's just a few exits up, Market Center in 35, and they do a big Christmas spectacular. If you get the 4 tickets, you get Christmas at the Anatole, a 2-night stay at the luxurious Hilton Anatole, an hour of ice skating, unlimited holiday train rides, entry to the holiday bounce house, whole lot more stuff they're going to be having over there. So stay put, and we'll start the bidding after 4 o'clock. I'll give you the phone number. It's not the same number. Don't call in Garrett and start making your bids. It's a different phone number. I'll give it out at 4:05. And all this is to raise money to help buy Christmas presents for kids at Charles Nash Elementary in Fort Worth, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Arts Academy here in Dallas, with the 38th annual Christmas Kids or Cumulus Kids Christmas Toy Drive. Okay, so here is a soundbite that's going to stick with you. Erica Kirk was at some forum this week, hosted by the New York Times. I don't know what she was doing there, except Scott Bessent was there, our Treasury Secretary, so this apparently wasn't an especially partisan event, but she was asked to explain why do you think socialists and the left and Zoran Mamdani do so good with female voters? And so she talks about it.
I was going to ask you, actually, what do you make of Mamdani here in New York? And the reason I ask is he was somebody who really actually was able to persuade the younger voter. Mm-hmm. I mean, he really captured, but obviously on the complete opposite end, if you will, of where someone like Charlie would have been.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's so interesting because I lived in Manhattan for a while and I loved this city. I'm going to come at this from a female voter because a high percentage of his voters were female. I think there's a tendency, especially when you live in a city like Manhattan, where, again, you are so career-driven and you almost look to the government as a form of replacement for certain things, relationship-wise even. So you see things a little bit differently. What I don't want to have happen is young women in the city, look to the government as a solution to put off having a family or a marriage because you're relying on the government to support you instead of being united with the husband where you can support yourself and your husband can support and you can guys all combine together. But I just find it so ironic and so interesting that a heavy percentage of the individuals that voted for him were female.
Okay, there's a couple of tweaks I would like to make to that. The general premise is she's totally correct. I just don't think she's broad enough in her diagnosis or indictment, however you want to see it. But she's correct. There's a lot of women who, especially in the career-minded, driven area of Manhattan, New York, that see government as sort of their partner. If I need help paying the rent, government. If I need help putting food on the table, government. If I need a ride from point A to point B, government. But I think she's being a little narrow here because on the James Show, I say the same thing quite often with just a little bit of difference. I don't think government's necessarily meant to replace husbands as it's meant to replace dads, which isn't much of a distinction, but it kind of broadens it out for so many of the arguments that are put in front of you. It's like, well, what about the children? You know, if we cut food stamps or free lunch programs, how are the kids going to get food? Now, that's your dad's job. If a kid's starving, before you come get money from me, why don't you go have a chat with their dad? Hey, why are you letting your kid starve? If the dad's not around, I think we've found our first problem. But so many of these government programs, from public transportation to DART, well, how's my kid going to get a ride to work or go to soccer practice or go to school? That's dad's problem. That's something parents are supposed to take care of. Well, how are we, without Section 8 or public housing, how do we put a roof over our head? Dad. Well, without public schools, how are we going to educate our dad? Dad's the answer to almost all of these questions. Oh, you don't need gun control to be safe in America. You need a dad. And when you look at the communities that are failing, that have problems with addiction and prostitution and poverty and crime, you know what they don't have a lot of? Dads. That's not just a coincidence. So I like that. Some people see government as a force for good. I see as the people who believe that, you're probably well intended. It's just not working, and no one has the guts to tell you it's not working because it's not a fun solution. I wish you could just go out there and have promiscuous sex and never have to think about it, never have to develop a nuclear family, and not ever have to worry about raising kids or how you're going to feed them or how you're going to put a roof over their head or how you're going to educate them. But some people in our society are already living life that way, and it's going quite poorly for them. So, yeah, I think she's really onto something. I just have a feeling that message isn't getting out because, as you heard like 3 segments ago, only 24% of likely voters know that the guy who assassinated Erica Kirk's husband was from the left wing. And it seems like the most obvious answer. Charlie Kirk was an inherently political animal of the right wing. Who else would have a motive to kill him? What, was he sleeping with somebody's wife? Did he owe some Venezuelan cartels boat money? Is that what? It's just sad. It's sad because it's not working. I wish it did work. But I always like to put some of these questions through a different prism. It's like, okay, like there's nothing wrong with being gay or being childless or choosing to not have kids or whatever, the sort of feminist Team Blue preference is for alternative lifestyles. But if everybody lived that lifestyle, what would happen? Human beings would go extinct in 100 years. If everyone lived life the way you and I preferred and followed our traditional mores and values, what would happen? Human beings would flourish. How do we know? All of human history, especially the last 249 years, prove that. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next on The James Show, we got to talk about these Venezuelan boat strikes. This is not about drugs, folks. And the Guns N' Roses World Tour coming to Globe Life Field September 9th. Get tickets and information at livenation.com, or you can listen to the WBAP Morning Show tomorrow to find out how you can win tickets to Guns N' Roses. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Merry Christmas, fellow Texans. It's the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and we're doing something cool starting right now. We are doing an auction, a special auction. Now, there's going to be one today, and there's going to be another one tomorrow at this time, but I want to see just how awesome my audience is on the James Show on WBAP, because we have on the table right now, metaphorically speaking, Christmas at the Anatole. This package is valued at over $1,000. I feel like I'm doing the Showcase Showdown. The entire showcase is valued at over $1,000, but what will you bid right now? I'm starting the bidding at $500. This is what you get: a 2-night stay at the luxurious Hilton Anatole, 4 tickets to Christmas at the Anatole, 1 hour of ice skating, unlimited holiday train rides, entry to the holiday bounce house, and more. And I know how hard it is to try and find something awesome to do for Christmas that's for the whole family, because this seems to be one of the rare occasions to where your kids will be really happy. Hey, ice skating, train rides, bounce houses. And then mom and dad are going to be happy too, because you're at the luxurious Hilton Anatole here in Dallas. It's the one at Market Center and 35. You see it every time you're coming downtown on 35. It's right there on your right before you get into all the bigger buildings. So we're going to start the bidding right now at $500. I know, I think the morning show beat $1,000 this morning, but yesterday, I think the trip with Monty, go to a Stars game with Monty, only got $800. Can we beat 800? So here's the number you call in to start the bidding. First guy, you better say $500. 214-523-2730. 214-523-2730. Call that number. Place your bid. All the money donated that's raised from this will help buy Christmas presents for the kids at Charles Nash Elementary, or MLK Arts Academy in Dallas. I went to Charles Nash Elementary in Fort Worth last year when they handed out the gifts. This is no joke. And the number of presents that we've already collected, amazing. I'm so proud of you guys. The number of presents that people have dropped off at Sampac Auto locations, or making donations to the Dan Harker and Power Home Team hotline. We also have the case of people dropping off. Someone dropped off a bicycle before I'd even got there at Kroger yesterday. You people are doing amazing things out there. But this is one of the instances where you actually get something in return. You're going to get not just the tickets and not just the stay, not just the train rides, the holiday bounce house, the ice skating. You're doing this for the experience. You're doing this for the memory. You're doing this so every time your children drive past the Hilton Anatole, they'll think of you. They'll think of mom. They'll think of the ice skating. They may say, well, I haven't been ice skating in 20 years since we went to the Hilton Anatole. Or you remember that one time we did the bounce house and, I don't know, little sister broke her ankle or whatnot. You're doing this for the experience. That's what you're really buying. So this is a double thumbs up for you. You're going to be giving money to a good cause that is going to be a Christmas miracle for some kids here in North Texas. And then you're going to have your own little Christmas miracle, your own little family experience at the Hilton Anatole in Dallas. We're taking bids now through 5 o'clock. If you call this number after 5 o'clock, I'm not sure if they're even going to answer it. So if you want to bid on this, 214-523-2730. It's so hard to get your spouse something. Whether you're the wife how do you buy for a husband? He has money. If he wants a gun, he goes and buys it. If he wants, big pile of fancy beef jerky, he goes and buys it. If he wants a new truck, he goes and buys it. How do you buy for your spouse? This is something you can do. This is something that is outside the box thinking. This is a real gift. Not a sweater that they're going to wear 4 times and then it rots in the back of the closet. A lifetime of memories is what you're getting out of this. So if you want to bid for a 2-night stay at the luxurious Hilton Anatole, 4 tickets to Christmas at the Anatole, an hour of ice skating, holiday train rides, bounce house, all that comes with it, 214-523-2730. Call that number. Make magic happen. Okay, so this guy, I had never heard of him until this week. He's a representative named Himes, Himes. And I pulled some audio from an interview that he did yesterday, and I think he was talking to CNN. I have seen him on MSNBC like 6 times today. Where did this guy come from? And why is he the face of the narco boat strikes? This is Himes yesterday.
Yeah, so very, very good question. And there's a whole bunch of really important questions around that. Number one, why did they kill the first 2 guys and then they decided to rescue the second 2 guys, right? My guess is that there was a lot of discussion about what had just happened when they apparently deliberately killed 2 guys and that they changed their policy. We'll need to get those facts. But you're exactly right. Here we're being told, by the way, there is no such thing as a narco-terrorist, Katie, but we're being told that these people are just so horribly awful that they're responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of Americans, that they create mayhem and violence and stuff. But what you learn when you consider the fact that 2 of them were repatriated to their own countries, we apparently, the United States of America apparently has enough evidence to kill these people, but we don't have enough evidence to try them in a court of law. People ought to sort of let that sink in and think about the implications of having enough evidence to kill somebody, but not to try them.
Yeah, actually, that's the most normal thing in the world. It's the same reason when we were in Afghanistan and we were fighting the Taliban. We didn't have our Navy SEALs go put the Taliban in handcuffs and ship them back here and make them stand in front of a grand jury. It's a different set of rules. Oh, you have evidence to kill them, but not put them on trial. What do you want them to do? You want to bring them here when they get a court-appointed lawyer, and then when you have a bunch of congressmen come and visit them in jail and whatnot? Silly thing. And, there's no such thing as narco-terrorists. Really? There's not people out there who do acts of violence and, just horrible torture and beheadings and putting videos of it online and sharing it around and scaring the crap out of people for their own purposes. And they also sell drugs? Not believable. However, this story's not going away. I am actually expecting this to escalate pretty soon. Trump said look for land strikes.
Every boat we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives.
That's right.
And if you look at our numbers, the drugs coming in through sea are down 91%. I'm surprised there's 9% here. I don't know who's doing the 9%, but it's down 91, and we're going to start very soon on land, and I'm sure you're thrilled to hear that.
All right, I don't like the boat strikes, but this is such a non-factor for me. I'm a guy who thinks all drugs should be legal. You want to put the narco-terrorists out of business? You want to put Nicolas Maduro's drug business under the table? Legalize it. It ends tomorrow. Meanwhile, you can go blow up some boats, and you may hurt the terrorists, you may hurt the narcos, you may hurt Maduro a little bit, but Hunter Biden's still getting high tonight. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit of Cowboys with John Ingham. They have a game tonight. I'm not going to get excited about it, but we're going to let you know what's going on so you can know what's going on without having to watch the game. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, football fans, James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. We have the Dallas Cowboys playing the Detroit Lions tonight. Do you have your lineup made? I've got mine. I'm starting with Jahmyr Gibbs. This is a running back who has just been killing it the last couple of years and really all this year to the nth degree. His number on Prize Picks, 78.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to get more than that, so I hit more. And then I go up to my new favorite receiver on the Dallas Cowboys, George Pickens, 5.5 receptions. I picked more on that as well. And if both of those are correct, I'm going to turn $20 into $60. It really is that easy. You make a lineup of 2 to 6 people. It doesn't have to be from the pro football ranks. It could be from college football. It could be from basketball. It could be from women's basketball. I know they're not playing right now, but you know what I mean. It could be all the way down to cricket, and I don't even know what cricket is. So download the Prize Picks app, use promo code WBAP. You get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Download Prize Picks, use promo code WBAP. Have a little bit more fun with the Cowboys game that you were going to watch anyway, and you get $50 in lineups with your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. How about them Cowboys? It's the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. Hello to Danielle, listening to WBAP in Monterey. He's down in Mexico listening. Okay. I guess sometimes our signal can go pretty far depending on the weather. I'll take it. Hadn't had that before. So hello down in Monterey, Danielle. Tell someone about the James Show. Because, look, you can still download Prize Picks and take advantage in other countries. My next guest, joining him. Welcome back. You hear him on the weekend team here for WBAP. And, John, the Cowboys have a game tonight. They're playing against the Detroit Lions. And I've kind of written them off for the season. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to watch the game here, but I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm not going to let them get me excited because, I just don't want to be disappointed in the long run. But what do you think about today's game? Do the guys have a chance? Well, John, you get to pick your friends. You don't get to pick your family. And since I was born here and I'm biologically raised as a Cowboys fan, I don't really have a choice, and plus I live and work in Dallas, so I got to hear about it all the time. Cool. Well, look, at the beginning of the year, none of us looked at the Eagles Chiefs back to back and said, "Oh, well, we're going to win both of those," because these were the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year. So who would have guessed that we would have beat both Super Bowl teams, especially after starting what were we like 1-3-1 after 4 games? Yeah. So, are you going to, if you had to put money on it, would you say the Cowboys win tonight? Wow. Okay. It does. Well, if you want to go look through scores, you can find reasons to be optimistic because the Lions beat both the Eagles and the Chiefs. I mean, lost to both the Eagles and the Chiefs, and we beat both the Eagles and the Chiefs. So I guess there's a scenario where it's not that crazy if they actually win. I just don't appreciate the terrible start to the season and then showing up so good at the end of the season when I could have had my Sundays open if they would have just been honest with us. Well, and it also gives me hope that left on the schedule, if we can win this one, we're playing absolute garbage for the rest for our last last 3 games. Well, I take that back. The Chargers have a winning record, right? But everything else is garbage, and I don't mean Somali. I mean the Vikings, Commanders, Giants. They're all just doing terrible this year. So, all right. All right, great analysis. I appreciate it. John Ingham from the Weekend Crew on WBAP. If they win, we'll talk to you tomorrow. If they lose, we'll just forget this whole season ever happened. Coming up next on the James Show, I'm going to tell you about your chance to bid to win a Christmas package to Christmas at the Hilton Anatole, a 4-pack for the whole family. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hello, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. We're doing something special today. We're doing an auction right now through the rest of the show. So for the next 20 or so minutes, you can bid on a package here. Play that awesome Christmas music over there, Garrett. For Christmas at the Anatole, if you were to go buy all this, it would cost you over $1,000. We're starting the bidding at $500. I don't know what it's at now, but if you call the number and it's higher, you can keep going up until they tell you you're good. But what you get with this package is a 2-night stay at the luxurious Hilton Anatole in Dallas. I've actually stayed there before. They had they had a radio convention there once. It is opulent. It is very nice. This isn't the Holiday Inn Express in Bug Tussle. This is the luxurious Hilton Anatole, and then it's all decked out for Christmas. You get 4 tickets to the Christmas at the Anatole, the actual exhibit itself. You get 1 hour of ice skating. You get unlimited holiday train rides and entry to the holiday bounce house. Whole lot more comes with the package. If you were to buy this all yourself, it would cost you over $1,000. But you're going to help make a Christmas miracle for children at the Charles Nash Elementary School in Fort Worth and the MLK Arts Academy here in Dallas. So go ahead, call in, make your bid, make it huge. Bid so much it hurts. It goes to a good cause. You're going to make some great memories with your family, and everybody wins. The phone number, it's not the phone number you call in to bug Garrett. You got to call 214-523-2730. 214-523-2730. Thank you very much. And we will be doing another special gift on tomorrow's show at the same time. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but I'll put it on social media tomorrow. Judd in Groesbeck, you're on WBAP. What's up, Judd?
Man, let's keep it light just real quick. You got to believe in the Cowboys. You know, I
Says who?
Cowboy fans. But did you see that kicker for the New York Giants the other day? I mean, anything can happen as far as gambling goes. Just saying. You know,
that's a good point. That's an excellent point. You totally nailed me on that one. All right, so what's going down in goat country?
Okay, so this is the deal. You know, with these drug boats, they're considering it a war crime or crimes against humanity, but they're promoting killing, you know, babies and supplying these drugs to our Americans that are killing. So why are they for these people killing Americans instead of Americans taking care of themselves?
Oh, man, you know, I'm not sure you're going to like my answer on this, Judd, because this is where I pull out my stupid libertarian card, and it's a pox on both your houses. I am disappointed with the Republicans on drug policy because you're supposed to be the party of limited government, the party of freedom, the party of personal responsibility, the party of the founding fathers and the Constitution, all of which drug laws run afoul of. So number one, that's terrible. On the other hand of the coin, you have the Democrats who want drugs to be illegal but don't want to fight the actual cartels. So you're getting all the bad parts of drug prohibition and none of the good parts of drug prohibition. So I think that's an even worse policy. So I always have to start this conversation with, I disagree with both parties. And of course, I'm not happy with the Venezuelan boat strikes, but not because I think that Trump's a war criminal or Pete Hegseth is a war criminal and needs to be sent to The Hague or have Nuremberg trials or whatever. It's because I don't think we should be blowing up drug boats, period. So the converse to that is, why are they trying to kill us? Well, are they trying to kill us? Because most businesses recognize it's not good for their business to kill their own customers. And I don't think there's so much as trying to force drugs upon us as we're demanding it with about $14 billion a month in drug purchases. You know, no one is forcing Hunter Biden to smoke a crack rock tonight. He's going out and he's finding it his damn self. And if he doesn't find it in the first place he looks, he's just going to keep looking and keep asking and keep throwing more money at people until it happens. So the drugs aren't being sold to us. We are demanding them. And one of the things you learn about, you know, economics is that capitalism isn't so much a theory as it's just laws. It's the law of supply and demand. And all we're doing is making drugs more expensive for the people here, which means if you're rich, it doesn't matter. If you're a poor person, you're going to have to commit even more crimes to continue your drug habit. So
I completely agree with you, and I'm a conservative, but I'm also lean towards libertarian. But if you look at these documentaries, and I don't want to say the channel, but these dealers, they'll get good heroin or fentanyl or whatever in, and they want some of their clients to OD on whatever their brand is. So where everybody on the streets know, hey, we want this Blue Devil or we want this Green Monster.
Oh, I love that. I find that fascinating too, because you and normal people would think, well, if someone ODs from heroin, that would make other heroin users not want to use it. Yeah, they're like, oh, that must be the good stuff. You can actually die from that. I barely got high from that pack of baking soda that they sold me yesterday.
Yeah.
All right. So, but if you want that to stop, all you got to do is legalize it. And just like we learned through alcohol prohibition, the number of accidental deaths from tainted alcohol actually went down when we legalized it. And so it's reasonable to think that if we put the drug manufacturing and distribution in the hands of legal, legitimate entities, that the number of accidental drug deaths and especially fentanyl poisonings would go down. But if you're going to force it into the hands of the cartel, they have less of an incentive to do that. What they're already doing is illegal anyway. So, what's...
I mean, and like I said, I agree with you. Do you have a pencil and a piece of paper right there?
What is this, 1988? No, but I have a computer with a notepad file in front of me. I can type in something you're about to say.
Yeah, so whatever drug you can think of, I have done in my life. And it's, it is so readily available, but I don't do it anymore. And I haven't done it in 30-something years. But it is still there. And it will always be there, whether it's legal or not, in which some things should be legal, some things shouldn't be legal.
All of them.
It's just like, I don't think all drugs should be legal. It's like, okay, you're going to say all drugs. Well, then if something is bad for you and you commit a crime doing it, then should murder be legal?
Yeah, murder should be illegal.
Okay. But some drugs should be legal. I agree. Marijuana and certain other things should be legal, but Schedule 3s, coke, meth.
Why not all of them?
Okay. Well, we agree on that then. Yeah.
No, I want all of them. I don't think we agree, but we're pretty close out there. And for those of you who wonder why I call it Goatland, it grows back as the goats.
Oh yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I look, small school people
like
know that. But I appreciate that. Y'all have one of the best mascots in Texas. All right, still coming up on the James Show, there are some new laws that went into effect this week. You probably need to know about them because you go to jail if you don't. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. All right, this is your last chance to get in on the magical Christmas auction. I'm James Parker, it's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. We are doing an auction for Christmas at the Anatole. This package is valued over $1,000. And what's at stake here? It's a family memory. It's an experience gift. You're not getting someone a tie. You're not getting someone a new apron that says kiss the cook, something goobery like that that's going to be forgotten tomorrow. Your kids are going to be telling their grandkids about this in 60 years or so. It's valued at over $1,000. You get 2 nights at the luxurious Hilton Anatole in Dallas, just up 65, a couple miles from downtown. 4 tickets to the Christmas at the Anatole event, 1 hour of ice skating, unlimited holiday train rides, entry to the holiday bounce house, and more. The last bid was at $650. So if you can beat that, I mean, you probably have to bid something, a little bit bigger than that.
$1,400,600,000,000,000.
No, probably not that high. Probably like
$150 million.
No, that's still a little high.
2008.
No, even lower than that. It's probably something like 700.
8.4.
Well, that's oddly specific, but still incorrect. So if you want to try and get in on this, this is your last chance. The bidding stops at 5 o'clock. Call 214-523-2730. Did you get that? 214-523-27. Wait, am I saying this right? Yeah, 2730. 214-523-2730. Get it? Got it? Good. Go bid. We'll make magic happen, and we'll do another gift tomorrow. Real quick, here's a 1-minute rundown on new laws that went effect this week for Texans from WFAA.
So first this morning, we're going to start with House Bill 8. It phases out the STAR test. Instead, students will take 3 shorter assessments, fall, winter, and then in the spring. These new assessments won't start until the next school year, even though the law takes effect today. Now also in effect is House Bill 18. It targets lawmakers who break quorum, adding steeper fines, limits on state funds, and the loss of seniority or committee assignments. This follows the recent walkout when more than 50 Texas House Democrats left the state in an attempt to block a proposed GOP congressional redistricting map. And perhaps the most controversial law, Senate Bill 8, known as the bathroom bill. It requires people to use restrooms and changing facilities in public buildings like schools and jails based on the gender listed on their birth certificate. Supporters say it protects privacy, while opponents say it discriminates against transgender Texans. Under the law, violators could face fines up to $125,000, but enforcing the law is still unclear.
All right, to the phones we go. This is Mark in Sherman. Hey, Mark, you're on WBAP.
Hey, James. Say I listened to your last caller, and I'm a big libertarian myself, James, and I've never used any kind of drugs. I don't want to and never have. But if my dad even used to say, if you legalized all that stuff, it would throw a fatal blow to organized crime. I mean, if you really wanted to knock the slats out from organized crime, just make it all illegal. I mean, the people that got common sense are not going to use that stuff. As far as, like population control, you talk about getting rid of the dumbos. The people that were just on crack all the time and everything, you wouldn't have to worry about them. They could self-eliminate. And then, like I said, people like us that got enough brains not to use it, we'd do fine, and organized crime would go down the toilet.
Yeah, well, I think organized crime would go down the toilet. I don't think it would have much of a factor on whether or not these people self-eliminate. If you want crack, you can go get crack. They're already getting all the crack they want, doing all the crack that they want. They would probably actually eliminate themselves slower, because when you buy your crack from the crack store or from CVS or Walgreens, it's less likely to be tainted with fentanyl or some other intoxicant. So we might actually be extending their lives and helping them a little bit, which wouldn't be, from a humanitarian perspective, a completely bad thing. Thank you very much for hanging out today. Thank you, Mark and Sherman. Come back tomorrow. We'll do this again, and I have another special auction that's going to happen at 4:05 tomorrow. Follow me on social media, or follow WBAP on social media. I'll put it on Facebook before the show. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP.